Hi guys, Untitled Computing here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create your own number guessing game in C Sharp. Okay, if you remember a while back, I did this video in Python, so I showed you how to create a number guessing game in Python. I can leave a link to that video in the description below. And also, we are using our a random number generator, the first 6 lines inside this game. So this game actually has the first 6 lines of our other code here. I will leave a link to the video of the C Sharp random number generator and the Python random number generator in the description below. But of course, here we're going to copy these 6 lines which we need for our number guessing game. So these 6 lines here, again, it's creating a random class. It's using the random class, sorry. It's creating a new instance of the class here. And then here again, we're calling the number generator .next, and obviously we're creating the minimum and maximum of whatever the player wants. So they can choose their difficulty by changing the range of the highest and lowest numbers. But of course, I'm going to go ahead and make this code a bit more readable by changing this num1 into range min and this num2 into range max, so that it's easier to understand. All right, so now we know that the range min is going to be the minimum or the lowest number of what the player selects, and the range max is going to be the highest number. So here we can change that over here. Um, whoops, not range min twice, range max. There we go. Okay, and instead of saying num3, remember here, this is a number guessing game, so there's going to be 2 people guessing. The computer will guess a completely random number, and of course you will have to guess what the computer has guessed. So this num3 is going to be what the computer guesses, so int computer guess. Okay, next we are going to create a for loop. All right, and this is going to be like a for loop in Python, right? So in Python we use for I in range, and then of course you put the range. So I could put 5 and it would go over that many times. But in C Sharp, this is how you do a for loop. So you do for, then of course you use brackets for the syntax. Okay, and then you do int I, because we want I to be an integer, right? Is equal to 1. So we have to set I first. All right, then you do a semicolon inside, and you do I is less than or equal to 5. So this is exactly like saying um, for I in range in Python, right? For I in range, and then you give them the number here. Well, if for while I is less than or equal to 5, what it will do is after this you need another semicolon, and you need to do I plus plus. All right, and this will keep adding 1 to I all the way until it reaches 5. So I will start as 1. Then it will add 1 onto I, and it will go again. So now I becomes 2. Then it will go again. I becomes 3. Then I becomes 4. Then I becomes 5, because less than or equal to 5. All right. And when I is 5, then it will stop this for loop. All right. So we can go ahead and open these curly brackets here, which is the syntax for a for loop. And the first thing I'm going to do now is going to write um, console.writeLine, or actually write to make it look a bit neater, and we are going to ask the user to input the number they guessed. So enter the number you guessed. Guessed. There we go. And of course we need a console.readLine here. So I'm going to call it your guess this time. So our integer is going to be your guess, and it's going to be obviously an integer, so we've got to convert it to int32. Console.readLine. There we go. So now you have the computer's guess and your guess. And now we need an if statement inside this for loop. So say, for example, you guess what the computer guessed the first time, okay? The first time around, you guess what the computer guessed. Then we need an if computer guess is equal to your guess. Then we want it to say, obviously, you won, and then you want it to break this for loop, because otherwise it would keep going. So to do that, we just have to write console.writeLine. We can congratulate them and say you guessed the number like this, and then close that and break like this. So that's the first if statement there. All right, you guessed the number. That's perfect. But what happens now is you need to obviously uh, let the user or let the user know whether their guess was higher or lower than what the computer guessed. So we're going to create an else if, and we're going to say if your guess is greater than the computer guess, then obviously we need to let them know that their guess was too high. Okay, so we're going to do console.writeLine here, and we're going to write simply that number is higher than what I chose. Please enter a lower number. Very good, like that. Okay, and then of course always end off the line with a semicolon. And of course then after that we don't want it to break because we want the code to keep on running. So now we need our last else statement, else if, sorry. Else if your guess is less than the computer guess, then of course you need to let them know that their guess was too low. So else if your guess was less than, sorry, less than like that, computer guess, which goes like that. Then you can open these curly brackets, syntax for, yeah, the syntax for if statements in C# is a lot different to Python. In Python, you would have the else if, and then you would just write what you wanted, not inside brackets, and then you would put a colon, and then you would just go to the next line. You don't need like two sets of brackets here, like this type, and then of course this curly bracket. But that's what it's like in C#, so of course you have to use that. So then we want it to write console.writeLine. And now we want to, of course, tell the user that number is lower than what I guessed. Okay, please enter a higher number. Like that. Very good. And now that for loop will keep going, all right, until I is 5. So you will have 5 attempts, all right? But of course, it won't keep going after you've guessed the number. It will only keep going if this message or this message is displayed. Because remember, we don't have a break after it. We only have a break after this one. Okay, and now the final thing we have to do is, of course, write console.readkey. Otherwise, this whole thing is going to close very, very fast, and we won't be able to see anything that's happening. Okay, so it seems like we have. Wait, hold on. Okay, we have some issues with our indentation here, so we need to move all of this back like this, and move all of this back. So indentation is very important in Python and in C# as well. Let's move all of these back. Um, 1, am I right? I think that's right. That is right. Okay, very good. So now outside of this for loop, because we don't want it to be inside, we just have to put console.read key like this, and of course we want it to wait for some input before it closes. And now if we save that, that should literally be it. That is the number guessing game. So let's hit F5 and see what it says. Okay, enter the range of your lowest numbers. Enter the range of your numbers, sorry. Enter the lowest number here. This is, you'll see that this is exactly like our random number generator. So my lowest number, I want it to be 1, and I want it to be, and I want the highest number to be 10. Okay, what it did here was you see that it actually printed our um, random number here. So we didn't want it to do that, and I'm not sure exactly what happened there. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So I entered the minimum. So I entered the lowest number, which is 1, and the highest number, which is 10. And then what did it do? Well, hmm, that is very, very, very interesting. Let's try again. Why does it do that? That is because, oh, okay, I know why it does this. All right. You see this static void here has to be main. In this case, it's main1. So if we save it as main and here change this one to main1, all right, we always need the project that we're working on to say main. So now it will run this code, this actual code. Now we can actually run this number guessing game. Okay, so that was just a test. I was showing you the number generator, all right? You got a little sneak peek there. So here we go. I've entered 1 and 10 again. Enter the number you guessed, 5. I always start halfway. That number is higher than what I chose. Please enter a lower number. 3. That number is higher than what I chose. Please enter a lower number. Um, well, then 1. You guess the number. Okay, and look, you see how it's waiting for me to press any key. So I press any key and it closes. Okay, now let's make it harder. Let's see what happens if I don't guess the number. So we're going to make it really hard. I probably won't be able to guess this number. It'd be amazing if I do though. So I enter 5 and let's just ignore what it says and let's see what happens, how many times it runs. Here we go. Okay, so you can see here, it asked me the first time, then it asked me a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and a fifth time. So it asked me 5 times, and that is why I use the for loop with I is less than or equal to 5. So that is the for loop in C sharp. Of course, I've given myself 5 attempts to find the right number. And then, of course, it's waiting for me, so I just close it like that. So that's why I use the for loop. I wanted to actually um, give the user some freedom to change their difficulty, all right? And I can actually add another setting in here, all right? I can ask them to um, choose their difficulty themselves. So I can actually say, if I, hold on, let's see where we should put this. Okay, I think I'm going to put this here, all right? This is what I'm going to do. I didn't actually think I should do this, but I'm going to try it out anyway. So I'm going to ask them to enter the number of guesses that they want. I know this sounds weird because they just might put like a really high number, but enter the number of guesses that you want. But this actually allows them to change their difficulty, and that is literally what I want them to be able to do. Guesses you want. So why don't we just try it out and see what happens, see if it works. So there we have our console.write, and of course now we need another read line here, and we're going to call it guesses. So it's going to be int, and we're going to call it guesses, and we're going to set it equals to, it's going to be equal to, sorry, convert.toInt 32 console.readline again, like that, and like that. Brilliant. So now we have another guesses. And over here inside our for loop, I don't know if you can do this, but if we can do I is less than or equal to, if we can put guesses into here, which we can, and save it, now it will actually ask me for the number of guesses, and I will be able to keep on going until I is equal to guesses. So that is actually really good. So let's go ahead and try run that, see what happens. So it's running now. Very good. So lowest number 1, highest number 1000. Say I want 10 guesses. Enter the number you guessed. 1, 2, 3. I'm not actually listening to anything they're saying. I just want to see if it actually gives us 10 guesses. 9. This should be the last guess. There we go. And we got 10 guesses, so we can actually change the difficulty of the game in multiple different ways. We can change the range of numbers so that it generates a random number between 2 points. And we can also change the number of guesses to make it easier for us. So guys, that is the number guessing game in C Sharp, which uses the random number generator inside it. All right, and I hope you enjoyed this video because we actually added some new things into here which I didn't ever think of before. Like altering the guesses was something really interesting that you could probably add more options to this game if you wanted to, but the guesses was really interesting to see that it worked. All right, so that is all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe with your friends because we are almost at 100 subscribers and it would be great to hit that milestone very, very soon. That's all, guys. Goodbye.